Hello and welcome to the Box Score Network NFL Draft Show. My name is Simon. I'm taking you through my 2026 NFL Draft grades. Thank you so much for being here. Please like video, comment with your grades, what you think of my grades. Subscribe to the channel for more 2026 and then future 2027 draft content. All will be coming to you very regularly on this channel. So thank you for being here. We're going to do our NFC East grades in this video. So let's start with the team I gave the highest grade to. Although I think all of these teams did really well. I gave three A's in this one, so we'll just start with the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas had an incredible draft for what they needed. A lot was made of George Pickens and his drama of signing his franchise tag, so would he actually be traded during the draft? The potential of the wide receivers falling in this draft, but they stuck with what they needed, and that was the defense. They made the small trade up for 2/5 to get Caleb Downs to control the middle of the defense, then the small trade back, picking up 2/4 to get Malachi Fields, a big but speedy pass rusher with some moves already in his tool belt. Then, not only do they double down at edge, but triple down with Jayshon Barham and LT Overton in the third and fourth rounds. And with those two, they also get flexibility. Barham also played linebacker in college, and Overton is a guy who can line up over guards with his size if they really want him to. During the draft, they also traded for a starting caliber linebacker in D. Winters from San Francisco, a position they desperately needed but didn't end up getting in the draft itself. And for other needs, they take a swing on a corner in the fourth round with Devin Moore, whose length and speed and run defense give him upside, but with major injury concerns. So Dallas created value for themselves and really got the player I think that was the best fit for what they needed to do defensively. Um, and then when they were able to address the pass rush, which they definitely need help with, I said Fields earlier, Malachi Lawrence, they were able to really attack that with multiple body types, multiple flexibilities and abilities with those guys. And then I like the other swings they made in the middle and late rounds as well. So really good job by Dallas to, I think, get the top guy that they needed on their board and Downs as a defensive back, but a guy who's controlling the middle of the field. And then add pass rush and help up front on top of that. All right, the next team in the NFC East is the New York Giants, who I also gave an A. It's hard to walk out of this draft not loving it for New York. Maybe you wanted more picks from a team rebuilding on the fly or more flashy pieces to play offense with Jackson Dart. But walking out of the top 40 with Arvell Reese, Francis Mauigoa, and Colton Hood is a home run. Those could be long-term starters that I think are there through this turn of the franchise. Moving Dexter Lawrence to acquire the 10th overall pick was a home run move, and while their defensive line will need some attention, especially those guys with their hand down, they go +1 at edge, linebacker, safety, and corner on their depth chart now. I love Reese going somewhere where he'll be an all-fall linebacker first. Yes, the potential conversion to edge was fun, but that was always a projection and a project. With the Giants, he won't have to rush that move, and he even gets to play next to an experienced linebacker in Tremaine Edmonds, so he'll get to just be unleashed in this defense. With Maui Noah, I can see him playing right tackle or right guard next to Jermaine Illuminor. He's going to keep that pocket clean for Dart and create run lanes for whoever is running the ball early in the season. And Colton Hood was one of the least talked about corners in the process, but he has everything you want: athleticism, ball skills, fluid movements, etc. He even tries to be used as a tackler, even if he needs some work. He won't start right away, I don't think, but Hood can be a real number two on a good defense at some point. Um, I just the creating the extra pick for themselves. What I love about that was they were able to, you always have these conundrums in the top 10 of, okay, do we take a luxury pick? Do we do the fun thing? Do we just go with the best player available? Do we eat our vegetables? Do we go to the trenches? Do we, take a team need? Maybe do we be a little bit more responsible? They were able to do both now. So at 5, they get to take an off-ball linebacker, not a high positional value, a guy that is maybe going to be a conversion or a project, needs some development. Okay, that's fine. Because then at 10, they can get an offensive lineman who, for many people, was the top offensive lineman on the board, and he can play tackle or guard for them. And he's at a position of need where on the right side of the line they had a hole. So they were just able to do both those things by moving on from Lawrence, who was getting ready for a third contract coming off of an injury. So I think that was just a really good move for them, and then good use of the board and the prospects that were available to them the rest of the way through the draft. All right, next team up, Washington Commanders. I love this draft for the Commanders. Sonny Styles was my number 3 player on my own board, and he had a huge position of need for Washington, and they got him at 7. With the edge rushers they paid in free agency and the defensive backs they brought in over the last 2 years, he can command the defense and maybe finally turn it around this year. And speaking of edge rushers, the Joshua Joseph selection was also one of my favorites on day three. Joseph plays with a high motor, good first step, and excellent hands with long arms. There's a lot to like there as a developmental guy who's going to rotate in with the guys that they paid this offseason. And Antonio Williams in the third is also a big move at receiver. He has good hands and can turn upfield with his compact frame and get yards after catch, but it's his ability to run routes and separate that make him really intriguing for this offense that needs a steady number two receiver across from Terry McLaurin. Later on day three, they add a running back to their room of cheap flyers at running back. It feels like they have five or six of them at this point. And they hit center to at least throw in a dart after releasing Tyler Biotish. So some nice mid-round picks, and we walk out of this, and the Commanders roster actually feels in a pretty good spot. So that tells you that the Laramie Tunsil trade really feels worth it. They trade for him. They trade multiple picks over multiple years, and they end up extending him, paying him. But this offseason, they're able to go out in free agency, spend money. They're able to come into the draft, have a productive draft at key positions, high value positions, positions of need. But at the end of the day, Sonny Styles being, I think, one of the top players in this draft, that nails it for them. So I think Washington had a really good time this weekend. And last but not least, the team that is usually at the top of my draft grades for their own division is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I gave them a B plus. I don't think they had a bad weekend whatsoever, but it certainly was a whirlwind. Howie Roseman pulls a classic move for him by trading up for Mekhi Lemon as he's falling. He pairs him with Eli Stowers in an attempt to insulate the offense once A.J. Brown is likely moved later in the summer. Lemon I had as a top 12 player, and I think he has a real shot to make a difference in this offense right away. Their third round pick was interesting, taking Markel Bell, the behemoth 6'9" left tackle from Miami. He needs development, and I'd normally feel good about that in Philly. But with Jeff Stoutland now gone, I'm a little trepidatious. The Eagles fell apart last year because their offensive line wasn't healthy. So there's a chance Bell could be counted on to play snaps in 2026. And I'm just not sure if they did enough with the line and if he's ready for that. So if this engine of the team in Philadelphia is going to still be on the offensive line, did they do enough? Are those guys ready? Are those guys healthy? Are they going to be able to get through the season to do what the team needs to be able to do? But with their other third round pick, I love the trade for Jonathan Grenard. They were going to miss Jalen Phillips in a big way, but bringing in a double-digit sack edge rusher to replace him really helps the sting go away. So going out and making that move for Grenard, being aggressive, getting an edge rusher in a draft that had good edge rushers, but where they were picking, they weren't getting one that was going to make the same kind of difference. Instead, they swap a third round pick this year and one next year, and they get an established guy ready to go. After that, the QB factory team takes a swing on Cole Payton, so that'll be interesting to monitor. We'll see how that goes if he takes any of the running job away, or if he's just going to be there as a potential trade piece if he has a good preseason. But overall, Philadelphia had a good draft. They were aggressive in the pursuit of Mekhi Lemon falling. I like how they paired that with Eli Stowers. But I am overall worried about the offensive line. They were a popular mock for everybody to take a tackle early. Didn't really fall that way just because Lemon was available to them. So we'll see how that all ends up shaking out. Those guys stay healthy. All right, that's going to do it for the NFC East. Thank you all so much. If you like these, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it. More coming for every division. And we will talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.